Okay, does that mean we are actually live? That's the question. It appears we are. That's really cool. If it is, let's go ahead and just double check, make sure everything is going live. Content. Live. Yeah, says I'm live. Wonderful. What up, everybody? It's going to be sort of a not necessarily cozy stream, working stream, but kind of cozy. I am going to introduce you guys to the Lyricanium. Some of you have heard me talk about it, and I'm going to get into it. So, what is the Lyricanium? The Lyricanium is what I refer to my entire written works as. And I have most of it set up in a backup, which I'll load here in just a minute. But first, I wanted to talk about the app that I created through vibe coding and the like to develop it. I have actually gone through, let's see how many iterations to get it perfect to where I want it to be. Obviously, with any app, it could still be a little bit better, and you can always add stuff, but that's a secondary thing we're working on. The main thing is the writing and the stories themselves, as well as giving me a chance to read them in a live stream, so that people can enjoy them just read aloud. I can use bits and pieces of me recording my own stories for other things too, so this is multi-purposed, but just going in here, I know it's hard to see because I have a 4K screen, all that kind of stuff, but I have gone through 42. This is the 42nd iteration of my app, Epic Page Master. Now, what Epic Page Master is for it's creating an environment for me to write in, as far as having the ability to, link things and make things make sense in a broader context. You'll see all the features as we go, but it also allows me to do text to speech to hear things, which I needed to change to. I realized that is something I might actually use speakers for, so I need to change to my earbud real quick. There we go. And so, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and load up my Lyricanium backup, and I'm going to kind of talk through this app and my thought process behind the entire Lyricanium, kind of give you a basic overview in this episode. We might get to some actual writing. I'm hoping to be on 2-ish hours, but we'll see how it goes. Might be needed elsewhere. Who knows? There's so many things I have going on. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and load up. First off, we're going to come to index up here in the corner. And then you have a bunch of options here. The one that we want is load. Right now we have a blank canvas. It just says one document in it, and it's just called new document. The way you would edit that is just, start typing. You can also link stuff, link it, or you can add an image by hitting that IMG button. So here's how it goes. We're going to hit load. We're going to load our Lyricanium backup. This is the latest one we have. And so we're going to go ahead and load that up. And it says load successfully. And so now we have all of my documents over here. Now we can go ahead. This is extremely expansive. It says the total documents number is 1078 currently. So we're going to collapse all. And you can see it's cleanly into two categories, fiction and nonfiction. Obviously, nonfiction's a lot smaller right now. I don't have all, that's the thing, I have the least amount of stuff right now. I have all my various poetry kind of down here. And then I have other things that I plan on working on. But we also have fiction, which takes up the vast majority of stuff. And those are broken out into various fiction, World of Courage, World of Derivatives, World of Harmadonia, World of Heroes, World of Lactia, World of Portals, and World of Wrestling. These are the worlds that I actually write in. World of Courage, most of you know, is the biggest one. Currently has 328 documents. And a document is not always, so one document either equals like one poem, one container. So like an episode title would contain a certain number of poems. And then it also is characters. So let's look at Guardians of Atlanta. That's what y'all are most familiar with in the world of courage. And then season 1. And we have our episodes here, right? So basically we have episodes 1 through 11. That's the whole. And then inside those episodes, we have the individual poems. Here's the prophecy. Now I can scroll through the prophecy and then keep scrolling into the headband, which is the second one. You see it has a little, if you keep scrolling, it kind of just scrolls into the next one like that. So it's a nice little tool there. The text to speech that I currently have going, I don't know what voice I have. I'm going to try to make it a decent voice. If you come in here to media settings, actually default will probably be best for what I'm doing. I have the app pulling all the potential text to speech voices from the browser itself. So this is all the ones Safari has. It has a lot of them and most of them are pretty terrible. So I'm going to stick with the default. Speed and pitch, you can change those. And then there's a little button here, show working documents. I don't think I have any currently set as working documents. But the idea is if I have a partially written poem, and I don't want to see my partially written poems, I can check this off. And the ones that I mark as partially written as opposed to fully written, are hidden if I have that checked off. So that's what that does. This is a light mode, dark mode button. Prefer to keep it in dark mode, but other people can look at it elsewhere. By the way, you can use this app for free on my website, joshuadavidling.com/EPM for Epic Page Master. Totally available to you. Enjoy. So, and then we have a volume slider and a play button, play pause button. So let's go ahead and hit play. Also, it plays from wherever the caret is right here, the little cursor, the text cursor. So we'll just start from there.
1. The prophecy. Reed Jones was a farmer, just north of Atlanta. His wife laid sick in bed. Just picture it. Can't ya? A baby in her womb. A storm raging outside. The lightning locked them in. The storm poured from the wind and rain battered their tiny Georgia town.
It has a little tick that I haven't been able to solve yet where when I hit pause, it just finishes like the next line, but that's not too big of a deal. I just haven't been able to fix it yet. So yeah, that's how that works. And yeah, that's something else I just noticed. After you hit pause, it's still kind of in text to speech mode, and I had to scroll to the next one and scroll back to get it back in text editing mode. Oh yeah, the life of a developer is never ending, regardless of whether you use AI or not. So that is how this all works. And there's a little bit more to it than that. Basically, how does this get built out is the question, right? How does this whole thing get built out? Well, these buttons will change how things nest underneath each other. You can make it nest one level deeper, one level above by clicking left or right. I'm not going to do that right now because it's going to be a pain to fix. But if you come in here to edit, there's a lot of extra stuff. You can insert an image or file into the current situation, new document before, new document after, new document inside. That's how you would generally create new documents. Batch add docs. So let's say you have a story where you know how many chapters you have and you're doing kind of data entry on the chapters. If you hit batch add documents, what this will do is it'll say, give me a number, and it's going to add to be determined TBD as the title, but it'll be 1 TBD, 2 TBD, and it'll create them batch style. So basically, let's say I know I need to add chapters 3 through 7. I would put chapter 3 and chapter 7, and then I would choose the parent location for where I'm adding the documents, and I can add them and then edit them to my heart's content. So that is how batch add documents works. Organize. So what this does is whatever the current document in the editor over here is, we can then change the parent. So currently the parent for the prophecy obviously is episode 1, Cyclone Jones, but let's say I wanted to change that to another one. I would come in here and I would type in the name of the parent and select it here. So then it'll change to that parent directory. This is a parent, for example. So we got the chapter, and then the episode is the parent of that. The season is the parent of that. The series is the parent of that. The world is the parent of that. And then fiction is the parent of that world. So that's how that works. We can set it as a working document. I already explained how that works. This is something that I'm really excited about. You can specify the URL for an image and it will show in the background. I'm just going to grab an image real quick to show you how this works. Let's just do a picture of a storm. I'm just going to pull one from, you know what? No, I already have one for this. Let's just, no. Let me, yeah, a new URL. So let me do this. I'm going to copy this image address. This is just a dark storm on the ocean kind of thing. And I'll pop that in and you can see it created a background for this document. Now, this is the other cool thing about that. It's not the document for the headband, but if I wanted it to be the document for this entire not the background, not document. It's not the background for the headband. Okay. Right. It goes away. It actually fades out. But if I wanted to make this the background for this entire episode, I would copy that out and I would come back to here. I would hit the episode title, which is just episode 1, Cyclone Jones, The Long Summer, and put this in here. And it actually will nest that background for all the children under that parent. So you can have the same background for all your titles. And there is a way to actually publish all of this too, which we're going to get to in a minute. But let me go ahead and take that background off real quick. We will get to that when we get to that. So get to adding those. Linking keywords. This is another cool thing. Hey, what's up, Hazel? Delivery for me.
Deedling.
Oh, that's me. Thanks, T-Mobile. Anyway. Appreciate it. All right. So comma separated keywords. So you can see right here, dragon, magic sword, castle. So let's go ahead and do the word prophecy just to show how this works. So prophecy, right? We would add that in to, once again, the one we're working on, episode 1, Cyclone Jones. This is just the title container. So if I go into the prophecy itself, let me see, delivered a prophecy. Let's see. Oh, the word prophecy isn't in here, or it is. Okay. So that doesn't, maybe I'm wrong. Let's try the word womb. So let's add the word womb. Oh, a space there. There we go. And we'll go ahead and go back to here. Does not appear to be working, this feature, but the idea is that it will link. Maybe it's only linking in the final output, but the idea is that it'll link this word womb back to this page, the container page where we added that word. So this will help to create sort of wiki-like entries for where I have my what is it? In here we have the appendix for World of Courage. We have characters, right? So I could add Sirius's name right here, or into this one, and it would be able to pull anywhere it says Cirrus. It would link to Cirrus's biography right here, which is not written yet, but that's the idea anyway. So we need to work on that and make sure that's working properly and entirely. But yeah, so that's linking keywords. We'll look at that and figure out how to fix that later. Then we have this downloads modal. I may or may not keep this, but the idea at the moment is that I could actually have various PDFs and other sorts of things, and essentially just put some HTML in here that will come up in a modal when I hit a downloads button, which shows up later. Basically allowing me to look at the various downloads that are available for whatever document I'm on. Like I said, may or may not keep that in future versions. TTS skip phrases. So this is also nesting dependent. So like similar to the way the backgrounds work. If I'm in, for example, if I'm in just Guardians of Atlanta in general, and I came to, this is the Guardians container here, as you can see. It contains all of season 1 and season 2, which I'm working on. Basically, if you click that, you can create words that you want the text to speech to skip. So I use dialogue tags in mine, like Cirrus, comma, and then her dialogue. Doing this will allow the text to speech to skip the dialogue tag, and it also makes the text look a little bit different. It looks a little bit like darker gray, at least in dark mode. It looks a little different in light mode, but it makes it gray is the point. And so it will skip that phrase, whatever you put in here, separated via commas. And like I said, it's nesting. So if you just wanted them to skip it on one poem, but not the entirety or one chapter, you can do that. And then text-to-speech pronunciation. You can come in here and add a name like Cirrus, which is spelled Cyrus, and make it say it in a different way. Pronounce it as if it's something else. Yeah, so that's how that works. And then this is just where you would see those pronunciations that you already entered and be able to delete them. Find and replace. We have our simple find and replace. And we can replace on the current one. We can do it on select ones. You can collapse, expand, choose whichever ones you want to do find and replace on for whatever word you're doing, and do replace selected. Or you can do all. So this will go through all the documents and do a find and replace. I have a random document button, which I'm going to be using quite a lot. And I have a text size changer. It just changes the text in the editing window. So that is a basic overview tour of Epic Page Master. I'd love some questions if anyone has any on how this works. But we're going to go ahead and start looking through and working on stuff. Oh, also, I don't know that I mentioned it, but I didn't mention this either. Okay, let's go back to the index menu, right? We have an index menu over here. By the way, this works in mobile too, so you can do it on your phone. That's why it has these kind of pop out, pull out menu things. So save all allows you to save basically just a backup that can be reloaded into, I'm going to save it right now just to show you it saving. It generates a name with the date, right? And you hit save and it downloads into wherever you want it to go. To load, you would do the same thing, but in reverse. Load the file from wherever you saved it. Save select allows you to save only a certain amount of stuff. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and deselect all. So we'll deselect all, and we're just going to do Bards versus Zombies and everything within it, just for now. So you go through and you'd select them all. I need to do some kind of nesting select, but I'm not there yet. I need to fix that. So let's just say I wanted just episode 1 like this of Bards versus Zombies. I would hit save selected, and by the way, you can select all, deselect all, expand all, collapse all, and it will go like that. So save selected, and you can choose an HTML document, which is a very bare bones HTML document. Keep that in mind. A PDF, an EPUB, a TXT file, or an HTML front end. The HTML front end opens like Epic PageMaster, but it's uneditable. So it allows people to have all those extra linking functions and the images and all that other kind of stuff. And you can take that HTML front end file and upload it anywhere as a web page. So very cool there. I may go into more detail on another time on how all the things that can do, but that's how we do save select. That's how the save select function works. We also have a search. I can search for the word womb, for example, and it'll show all the episodes with the word womb, all of the things with the word womb, and I can click them. The prophecy is one, and a circus girl is another. So we can see that. And yeah, so that's how that works. And yeah, expand all, collapse all. You guys get it. Also, these are your expand collapse buttons right here. Obviously, this is for nesting. You can nest further in or further out. The root currently has fiction and nonfiction, and then everything within that. I've shown you that before. So, with all that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have for this. It's a very, very versatile program. It's tiny, comparatively speaking, and it's very easy to save all of your work all in one place and link it. Also, let me just do this real quick. I'm going to link this. You can actually link directly. So if you put in a URL, say I wanted this to go to braves.com for some reason, I don't know why, but I could type that in https:// and it would link what I wanted it to link. Or I can link another document right here. So I could link Battle of the Bands and it would link. So I'm going to undo that. It has full undo redo as well. Control Z, all that stuff. Command Z. So, yeah, that's Epic PageMaster. That's the overview for it. And I spent a lot of time working on this because I really needed a tool that does what I need it to do for writing poetry, writing these huge epic poems. And I really like how it works. Currently, it's only in, it will not do left, right, alignment. It's all centered like this. I prefer it that way. If someone wants those extra features, I might be able to add them later. Just talk to me about it and I'll see what I can do. And like I said, I can give you the HTML file for you to run it locally because it's just an HTML app. But you can also just go to joshuadavidling.com/EPM for Epic PageMaster, and it will allow you to use it, play with it, do whatever you want with it, have fun with it. So be sure to check out Epic PageMaster for your own stuff. It's completely free. I plan on keeping it free. It's just a fun, great tool, and I want it to help people. All of you Brood people who might be watching, check it out for real. It is fun. So what we're gonna do today, going into this, that took 20 minutes to talk about. Did I mention batch set parent and batch delete? I don't know that I did, but basically I think they're self-explanatory. Batch set parent means you can change the parent of multiple documents, and batch delete means you can delete multiple documents. Simple enough. I skipped over that. As you can see, it's packed with features. So we're going to do a random document and see what needs work on it. So we're on number 3, revenge. We'll come in here and look at the overall location of that one. That one's going to be in World of Wrestling. Let's collapse this. Let's just go straight to World of Wrestling. And we are on season 1, episode 1, I want to say. Number 3, yep, Revenge. That could be a good thing where it just show current, something like collapse to current, and it will collapse in such a way that it only opens up to the current document. Anyway, just thinking out loud. The Revenge one, so this is episode 1, which is more or less written. There were some poems that I might go back and look at. You know what? We're just going to read through episode 1 again and make some changes as we go if need be. That seems to be the best way to go. Oh, let's see. This needs some fixing, so we'll just read through. Number 1, the rookie. Sweaty underneath his sort of clean clothes, Joshua Slater sighed and let out his woes. His fingers jittered on the wheel of his van, thanks to the contents of the now empty can that clinked in the cup holder as he pulled into the lot for the Orlando Arena, where he'd finally get a shot. I'm going to add a spot right there. The previous night was an emotional farewell as he left his old home for the WWL. NGPW was a great place to work, but it was nothing compared to WWL's perks. He'd be on TV, regionally at least, and he'd have enough money to eat like a beast. All of this played on his mind despite the 9 hours straight he'd driven overnight. Caffeine would sustain him, or at least for now. He'd shower, then nap, then the crowds he'd wow. Security let him through with no problem at all, and he walked with his duffel bag down the long, winding hall. His mind was preoccupied as he took the place in. It was impossible to hide his wide, boyish grin. And as his eyes for the locker room did search, someone bumped into him and made him lurch. "What are you doing?" she said, irritated. This needs a question mark in there. "I'm sorry," Joshua said. "I should have waited. Can you tell me where the men's locker room is at?" "Boy, what is underneath the... What is under that baseball hat?" Should I do under or underneath? I like underneath. "Boy, what is underneath that baseball hat? Do you know who I am? Did you pay your respects?" Josh thought for a moment, his mind perplexed. He almost didn't recognize her because his eyes were bleary. Then he thought of who she was, and the thought made him cheery. "Miss Supergirl herself, Jessica Valero." I'm going to add a dialogue tag here. There's no need to put one right here because it says Joshua said, and then we don't know who she is right here, so I'm just going to leave that. I'm kind of making up format again as I go. It's going to be what it is, but I'm working on it. Let's edit while we're at it. We're going to add a text or a skip phrases. Joshua. Save. See, it made that gray so that it skips. "Miss Supergirl herself, Jessica Valero. I'm sorry, my mind feels like it's jello. I drove here straight from my last indie event, and I thought you were injured until present." Jessica smiled and shook Josh's hand. Her expression had changed as she studied the young man. Young is spelled wrong. Let's fix that. She could see his excitement, his infectious joy, and she quickly realized he was still just a boy. Her smile grew too, as she retracted her hand. "First time in the big leagues? Treasure it, man." I'm going to get rid of this in between there. "First time in the big leagues? Treasure it, man." Whoops, skipped too far. There we go. I need to make that longer. You need to do 2 rotations on the scroll wheel or roughly to actually go to the next one. "First time in the big leagues? Treasure it, man. You might one day be great, but this will always be your first, and I'd love nothing more than to stay and converse. But I have to attend a meeting down the hall. The men's locker room is just past that wall." Let's add Jessica here, and we will add that into our text skip phrases as well. There we go. Add that in, save. Yep, there we go. And now anytime I add Joshua or Jessica with the colon, it will automatically be taken care of. So Oh, first time in the big leagues? Treasure it, man. You might one day be great, but this will always be your first. And I'd love nothing more than to stay and converse, but I have to attend a meeting down the hall. The men's locker room is just past that wall. Jessica pointed the way, and Joshua thanked her. He thought about much. His mind was a blur. Would this job work out and better his life? Could he stand with megastars and put up a fight? So I'm going to say that one's done. We'll move on to the next one. And this one is number 2, Screwed With. Into the locker room Joshua went, every ounce of his energy spent. He found himself an empty locker and didn't plan on being a talker. On a bench he laid himself down, and his destination was Sleepy Town. He put his hat over his face. Showering definitely had a later place. Joshua was picked up by the lapels and slammed against a wall. He stared up at the man who stood about 6'6" tall. The dark-skinned man glared at him as a voice from the periphery said, let's go ahead and add voice there. I think I'm going to keep these. You know what? Let's go ahead and add them to the. No. See, that would be easier for later. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do it that way. So we're going to come up to World of Wrestling. No, I want season 1. We'll do season 1. I'm going to go up to season 1, and we're going to manage skip phrases here. Oh, okay. It's already got them in here. That's interesting. Maybe this is universal currently instead of nesting, which is fine for now. I may end up having to change that later, but voice with a colon, we want that one. Okay. Let's navigate back. I have the hardcore truth. That one is, didn't mean to hit that. This one is misparented. Let me fix this real quick. This is just what this stream's going to be. Lots of ADHD, me fixing things and moving through stuff. I hope it's interesting to some people. It will definitely be helpful to me later because I'm going to transcribe this and get it to give me actionable steps, especially on the development of Epic Page Master, things that I want to fix. So this one needs a parent change. The parent is not World of Wrestling. It is, well, I need to find out what it is. Which episode is missing a poem 6? So that one has a poem 6. That one has a poem 6. I think it's the last episode. That one has a poem 6. Okay. Interesting. It looks like all of them have a poem 6. So I'm going to refer back to my older Trello board here. Trello. World of Wrestling. So I used to use, whoops, that's Worldwide Warrior. So I used to use Trello for writing my stuff because it let me do better organization than what I had in just like Notepad or whatever. But now I'm moving things over. So this is my archive before the archive, so to speak. So I'm just gonna go find where the chapter The Hardcore Truth is. Hardcore Truth. Let's just do a search. Hardcore. Okay, so it's episode 6, The Hardcore Truth. Okay, so this is actually the title. This is the container. Okay, so it's episode 6, The Hardcore Truth. I was reading it wrong. So we're going to come back to Epic Page Master. It needs to be under season 1, Beauty and the Big Dog. So let's edit. So season 1, Beauty and the Big Dog right here. And now that shows where it needs to. And I don't have any poems in there yet. I have a couple written, but they're not entered yet. So let's get back to where we were. Will was screwed with, and we just added voice. Okay. Joshua was picked up by the lapels and slammed against a wall. He stared up at a man who stood about 6'6" tall. The dark-skinned man glared at him, as a voice from the periphery said, "Your scrawny pencil neck is all beyond all types of dead." Josh looked down and to the side and saw Lil Mac standing there, a rapper who had become famous in Atlanta. His bodyguard was built like a bear. That bodyguard, BJ Bass by name, had become Mac's tag team brother. The Atlantics were how they were known, and other teams they'd smothered. Mac flashed his tag title again, and BJ shoved it. Mac flashed his tag title, and BJ shoved again. "Is this your locker? You could just ask like men." "You'd like that a lot, wouldn't you, rookie?" Just then, Lil Mac trailed off. Let's change Mac here. Mac and Warren, I'm seeing, need to be added to our TTS skip phrases. Mac and Warren. Warren is later. There we go. Save. "You'd like that a lot, wouldn't you, rookie?" Just then, Lil Mac trailed off. Another presence made himself known with just a little cough. The Atlantics threw Josh's bag across the room and began to take their spot. And the world champion Warren Nicholson led Joshua Slater off to the other side of the locker room. This doesn't need a period, that needs a hyphen there. To the other side of the locker room, Warren led Joshua with no words. Maybe, hold on. Yeah, let's do hyphen. Warren led Joshua with no words. Joshua shook Warren's hand and thanked him. "They'd have chopped me into thirds." Let's add Joshua here. Why is that not immediately? Well, let's scroll and see if it fixes. Hey, look at that. It did. Okay, just then Lil Mac trailed off. Another presence made himself known with just a little cough. The Atlantics threw Josh's bag across the room and began to take their spot. And the world champion... Wait, it says he let him off again? Or am I reading that again? I'm reading that again. Okay. "They'd have chopped me into thirds." "Keep your nose clean, big dog. This is the WWL, not NGPW anymore. Still, I think you'll do well." With that word of encouragement, Warren headed away, and Joshua collapsed on another bench to hopefully get some sleep this day. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, number 3. This is the one we came in on random-wise, Revenge. How am I doing on time? It's 12:30. Yeah, we're doing good. We're really only 35 minutes in? That's nuts. "Jessica, come in." That's Will Rothschild. Yeah, I'll leave it till later. He says Will here. Let's go ahead and add that to skip phrases. Save. There we are. Will. "Jessica, come in," came the voice of one Will Rothschild, a slimy voice of smugness with a hint of something wild. "Come in and sit down. I have things to discuss. Shut the door, please. No need to hear that ruckus." Jessica did so and sat down to see what Will's meeting was to be. They'd never liked each other, though she wasn't sure why. It was like he waited for opportunities to watch her fry. "Well, Jessica, you're back from injury, and I was told to give you a match. However, it can't be for the title yet. We want to build up to that catch. But since you were so nice to my daughter last May and humiliated her in that ring, I think I have the perfect match for you. One that will make your heart sing." Will smiled as smugly as he possibly could, but Jessica didn't flinch. She knew that somehow, when she returned, she would be embarrassed and lynched. And then William, it says it. I don't want it. I want it to continue saying Will. I will eventually add William to that. But okay. There we go. And tonight you will face the tag team champions and the women's champ Carrie Starr. You may choose one partner for your own, but you won't get very far. The roster is very limited tonight, and I'm afraid that it would be career suicide if someone teamed with you and went up against me. Jessica's blood boiled in her veins. She wanted to knock him out. Is that all? She said with slight irritation. If so, I'll just let myself out. Let's add Jessica there. Scroll and come back. Will simply smiled his slimy grin as Jessica put their talk to an end. She left the room silently panicking, thinking, I need to find a friend. Thinking is actually spoken aloud there. So I will leave it as is. Very nice. Very nice, very evil, as Danhausen says. Let's go ahead. The big dogs bark. Jessica roamed the halls, talking to whoever she saw, but no one was willing to cross Will Rothschild's power and awe. So as Jessica went past catering for the 11th time, the Atlantics and Carrie Starr decided it was time to play with her mind. Carrie approached from catering, smiling as she walked. How we doing, Supergirl? How was Rothschild's talk? Before she could even answer, let's add Carrie. Pronunciation. No, skip phrases. There we go. Save. Before she could even answer, Mac and BJ stepped up from behind. Girl, you be insane to fight us tonight. And then Jessica, we need to add here. You guys are lame. Let's see. You guys are lame. No spilling food on me, Carrie? Or are you afraid to see my title belt you're wearing getting all gross and messy? Carrie smiled and nodded. Mac and BJ attacked. They grabbed Jess's arms at the wrists and held them behind her back. Carrie got right in Jess's face and smiled until her cheeks hurt. You will never take this title from me, you silly little squirt. Carrie ran her hands along her gold belt, and Mac whispered in Jess's ear. Let's add Mac here. The Mac dialogue tag. Besides, you've got a lot more tonight, of which you should be in fear. Jessica looked at and saw some red in her periphery. Mac was yanked back by his nostrils as Jessica pulled free. She saw the rookie she'd met earlier about to stand toe-to-toe with all 6'6" of BJ Bass. Then Carrie Starr yelled, Whoa! Save it for the ring, you Neanderthals. You punks be glad I got a nap. Jessica needs a partner tonight. Guess what? I got her back. Okay. Now we're on to promo time. All right. Okay, right. So Josh, you've been wrestling for how long? Jessica skipped steps to keep up with Josh as he briskly walked along. About 2 years now. They trained me at 18. Would you slow down for 2 seconds? Are you still hyped up on caffeine? We need to get to know each other, develop some chemistry. Look, this stairwell will be fine to talk in. Please just sit and talk to me. I'm going to say, please just sit and talk to me. I'm going to add that word. Josh looked at his cell phone and then showed her the time. It takes 2 seconds to get to the promo set. Please just speak your mind. Jessica sat and motioned for Joshua to sit. I've only ever really tagged with one guy before. He and I weren't always best friends, and so it was a chore to hash anything out, like plans of I'm gonna say or not of plans or strategy. I'm used to fighting my end of the fight, and whatever will be will be. Why did you say you'd help? Why did you say you'd help me out? What's in it for you? You're the first of 2 people who've been kind to me, and plus, it's the right thing to do. Well, thank you very much. That means a lot. Now, are you a power type wrestler? Please tell me what you've got. I have some power, and I can take a beating. I tend to be scrappy when I'm competing. I don't just find weaknesses, I open them up. I don't know if that makes sense. No, it does. You're tough. I can handle Carrie and Lil Mac, but if BJ tags in, you have to have my back. I'll start the match and do my best to last. We'll tire them out, then you'll jump in fast. Got it? Got it. Good. It's promo time. Let me say my piece to them, then just speak your mind. Wolfman Dan was the interviewer backstage. He just finished interviewing Lil Mac and BJ Bass. Then their opponents Jessica and Josh made their way through to the set, and they didn't waste any time filming. One take was all they'd get. All right, let's add Wolfman Dan's dialogue tag. Skip phrases. There we go. Wolfman Dan here backstage with Jessica Valero. Seems you've found yourself a partner. Who is this fine fellow? Dan, I'll get back to him in a second. I just want to say thanks to William Rothschild for screwing up my day. My first day back from injury and he wants to retaliate against how I beat his pathetic daughter. I say great, just great. But I'll let my partner introduce himself. He's a rookie here, but Atlantics and Carrie, I think you'll find this guy will bring out your fear. All eyes and cameras trained on Joshua Slater's face, and every ear was listening within that studio space. Wolfman Dan put the mic up to Josh's mouth, and what came next proved that Joshua was definitely from the South. Oh, WWL, the big dog is here. Atlantics and Carrie Star, you better watch your rears. The big dog is coming, and he's gonna bite. Be on your toes, gents. Supergirl and I are ready to fight. You guys might be gangsters, but you act like hogs. I might not be as big as you, but I am one big dog. Joshua howled again, and they cut the interview there. Jessica turned red in embarrassment, the cheesiness she couldn't bear. Can we do another take? Sorry, Soups, that one was live. Good promo, though. And he gave Josh a high five. I love that one. Okay, next, number 6. Jessica Valero. There we go. And Joshua Slater versus the Atlantics and Carrie Starr. Let's see here. We still have 4 viewers. That's fun. Or maybe that's just not current viewers. Who knows? Anyway, stream's going good. Bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Nah, I'm not worried about that. Bitrate's fine. Don't worry about it. I might make it a little better later. But for now, it's doing what it's supposed to. All right, Jessica Valero and Joshua Slater versus the Atlantics and Carrie Starr. The ring announcer bellowed. The entrance music played. Wrestlers made their way to the ring. The crowd would no longer be delayed. The bell rang out, starting the match with Jessica against Carrie Starr. Jessica made some attempts to grapple, but she didn't get very far. And as this match continued on, the announcers on TV supplied their insight and opinions to the match while sitting at ringside. Jessica looks a bit rusty in this early going. We need to add Jerry Lane Jr. and Lenny the Gooch. By the way, Jerry Lane and Jerry Lane Jr., who are both characters in this story, they are based upon the name of my grandfather, Jerry Ling, who I always thought would be really good as a wrestling announcer or promoter just because he had that Southern accent, but it was like refined Southern, not like Savannah Southern, just like, hello, how's everybody going? Kind of a thing. And it was just, it was great for that sort of a thing. He was an auctioneer for a time too, so it made sense. And then we'll add JLJ and Lenny the Gooch. Well, we'll find it out as we go down. I need to add JLJ. Oh, skip phrases, JLJ for Jerry Lane Jr. Save. Okay. So that'll do. Keep going from there. Jessica looks a bit rusty in this early going. Don't you worry, JLJ. Her confidence will be growing. She had a knee injury. It should be a knee injury. There we go. That's not something that you just shake off. Rothschild has the deck stacked too. Lenny nervously coughed. After a few arm drags from Carrie, Jessica finally got a shot in. She stepped behind and rolled Carrie up with a textbook schoolgirl pin. Carrie kicked out at one, but Jess arm dragged Carrie back down, applying pressure to her arm and making Carrie's confidence drown. The crowd cheered in response, and some chanted, "Welcome back," as Carrie reeled from Jessica Valero's attack. This went on for a minute or two, Jessica with the upper hand. Soon Carrie became frustrated and tagged in Lil Mac. "You just think you're grand. Bring it on, Supergirl. Can you catch the Flash?" Jessica went to spear him in the corner. He moved, and then she crashed. Into the ring post her shoulder went, and she cried out in pain. She stood back up and got slapped in the face. "Woman, this ain't a game!" For the next few minutes, Mac toyed with her, using speed to avoid her attacks. Then Jessica got hit by a drive-by kick, a signature of Lil Mac's. Mac tagged in BJ Bass, and they began to double team. Focusing on Jessica's knee was the plan's overall scheme. 4 minutes they quick tagged and double teamed her, while Joshua began to bark. The crowd began barking as well, hoping for a comeback to spark. There were a few times where Jessica came close to Joshua Slater's hand, but the mass of BJ and the quickness of Mac continually thwarted her plan. But soon Carrie began to get jealous. I'm going to make some... Yeah, that's good. But soon Carrie began to get jealous and told Lil Mac to tag her. Mac turned away and Carrie Starr's fury was a blur. She came in the ring and began slapping Mac, who yelled at her angrily. This was just the distraction Jess needed to get out of the ring and free. The rabid canine jumping on the apron, looking to dish it up. Canine was jumping on the apron, looking to dish it all out. She gathered her strength for one last lunge, and she let the big dog out. Lefts to Mac and rights to BJ as Joshua entered the ring. Carrie charged him near the ropes as the momentum continued to swing. Joshua backdropped Carrie to the outside as Carrie was knocked out. He then hit Mac with a German suplex. "That's what it's all about!" he howled, and the crowd echoed with more. But he turned around and saw the hands of BJ close around his neck and lift up against his jaw. Josh was lifted high in the air and was meant to be brought down, but he grabbed BJ's head and hit a DDT, turning it completely around. He pinned BJ aggressively, but Mac broke up the pin, though he quickly wished he hadn't, and wished he'd let Josh win. Joshua grabbed Mac's left leg without missing a beat, and Mac scrambled away from the grip in order to get free. But when he reached the middle of the ring, Joshua turned him on his stomach. Locking him in a step-over toehold, Mac's access to a rope break was cut. Joshua grabbed Mac's other leg and cranked it toward Mac's head. Mac tapped out and had no pride left, not one single shred. Jessica rolled, then hobbled into the ring and hugged Josh, celebrating the win. "The underdogs win way big tonight. Did we see something special begin?" So this one was my first time writing a wrestling match in rhyme. And the only thing I'm noticing going back through it is I don't have a lot of the announcers. I kind of have a little bit at the beginning and the ending. I think I want to leave it that way, though, because it is very long. I like the way it turned out, but if these get too long, it's going to just bog everything down. So yeah, I'm going to leave it. If you think I shouldn't, let me know. But obviously we can figure it out as we go. Number 7, offers. Once backstage, Jessica Valero excitedly hugged Josh Slater. "That was insane! Exceptional! You must be onto something greater." She winced and touched her tender ribs, gauging her internal pain. "Thanks, I guess. I just did my job." "Once again, that was insane. Do you realize the magnitude of what you just did? You made a champion tap out. He had 2 other champions on the team against you. Now that's what I'm talking about. Jessica walked with Joshua all the way back to the locker room door, and she made him an offer when they got there that might have left Jaws on the floor. You know, I'm full-time as a wrestler, but while I'm here, I might as well manage you from ringside. You interested, big dog? You want your career to swell? I'm not a huge fan of managers, and I'm crashing again off the caffeine. Okay, cool. We'll table it for now. Wednesday, we'll plan our schemes. I know this really cool place in Birmingham near where the house show is. We'll meet there. It'll be my treat, and we'll talk about the biz. Joshua agreed with a nod and headed into the room. Jessica was giddy like a schoolgirl. She'd have a protege soon. Cool. I'm happy with that. Just business. 8. After an inordinate amount of prepping, Jessica Valero left her hotel. Her mind continually vetted the big dog, though not just for the cell. Excuse me. It's true, she thought he was worth a lot, to both himself and her, if given the guidance he desperately needed to make his career path sure. But there was something in this young man that intrigued her as well. A childlike wonder and loyalty with an ego that didn't seem to swell. And so she met him at her favorite restaurant in this region of the country. She hoped he'd bring his appetite. King's was the best. King's was the best. It should be the best. When you were hungry. His rickety old black van pulled its way into the lot. I'm going to do that. And she smiled at him warmly and said, "They prepared my favorite spot." Joshua then stepped out of his van wearing jeans and a polo shirt. "I feel kind of underdressed," he said, looking at her black miniskirt. "Oh no, I'm the potential manager and you are the client. It's my place to impress you. You wear whatever you want." Joshua shifted nervously as they went inside King's. After they had sat down and ordered their individual meals, Jessica began the conversation. Okay, Joshua shifted nervously, and they went inside King's. Client want, yeah. Joshua King's. After they had sat down, King's. Joshua shifted nervously as they went inside King's. After they had sat down and exchanged some pleasant things and ordered their individual meals, Jessica began the conversation. "This place never has deals. You can order pretty much anything, and they'll make it, no questions asked. Their kitchen and food storage is massive." Joshua Slater laughed. Yeah, it kind of tangles there, but I kind of like that because this is getting awkward. We're going from like an ABAB to we're going ABAB BABA kind of a thing. We're kind of like flipping it. But I like how it works, and it ends with laughed, this whole section here. Joshua shifted nervously, and they went inside King's. After they had sat down and exchanged some pleasant things and ordered their individual meals, Jessica began the conversation. "This place never has deals. You can order pretty much anything, and they'll make it, no questions asked. Their kitchen and food storage is massive." Joshua Slater laughed. Yeah, that just works. This is the thing, like, Dante, one of my friends in the Brood, totally gets frustrated with my weird rhyme schemes and the way that not rhyme schemes, weird meters in particular and how I put them. But like, this just works. I can't explain why 100%. Like, I could eventually break it down, but like, I'm just going to go with that. All right. What's so funny, Josh? I just never thought my second night in the WWL would be in this spot. 4-time women's champion treating me to lunch, trying to impress a rookie. Well, it's just a hunch. But I've done my research on you now, and I really am impressed. You have the makings of a future champion and a chance to be one of the best. I don't like people at ringside. That's perfectly fine. I can work behind the scenes if you're so inclined. I would make sure you get good matches and you have whatever you need in order to become a champion. Then we both succeed. Their appetizer bread arrived, and a minute later Joshua replied, "Not that I really care about money, but you just take a cut? We can negotiate that how you want. I'm not worried about that either, and there's no pressure to decide now. Decide at your own leisure." They sat and ate for a little while, talking their favorite sport, what got them both into the business, and all the different sorts of wrestling that they loved to watch growing up as kids. That led to Jessica's question, "How long have you been in the biz?" "Only about 2 years." Jess nearly choked on her drink. "You've got to be kidding. How old are you?" 20, he said without a blink. "I'm pretty sure I told you before, but you had a lot on your mind. People are usually surprised to see one of my kind." "That's crazy. You seem so much more mature, and you're living on the road on your own." "To be fair, I just started traveling more, but so far it's my favorite home." Jessica smiled and checked her phone. "Well, we'd better get moving if we're going to be at the house show tonight." "Glad you find me amusing." Jessica. "Do you want to come over after the show?" Jessica saw something snap. I have some things I have to do." Jessica felt like she'd been slapped. "Oh, well, if that's the case, maybe some other time?" "I don't know," he said nervously. "I need to go unwind." Jessica went to put her hand on his, and he couldn't move quick enough to stop her. He pulled away and left the restaurant. "What about my offer?" We'll move on to Joshua Slater versus Ricky Serpiente. Smack went Joshua Slater's face, straight down into the mat. The crowd roared loudly as he went to superkick Ricky right back. Ricky Serpiente was far too quick, matrixing back in a bridge, and Joshua Slater fell over the top rope, landing splat like a fly or a midge. Come on, Jessica whispered while watching a monitor TV. She clenched her fist and noticed the nails she'd been biting nervously. This was a big match for Josh, even if it was a house show. He won his very first WWL match, but the second would be a show of just how very good he was, win, lose, or draw. And Ricky was especially quick. Could he be caught by the big dog's paws? Jessica's mind went back to the match. Ricky was running toward the ropes. Joshua followed directly behind, grabbed a gut wrench, and Ricky was toast. German suplex after German suplex, and Ricky looked way worse for wear. One final tossing release came to Ricky, and the crowd lit up everywhere. Joshua howled, his eyes intense, and Ricky began to stand up. He put Ricky up in a fireman's carry. This big dog was no little pup. He tugged on Ricky's legs and spun him around, spine-busting him to the mat. He got the win 3 seconds later, and that was that. Jessica couldn't help but stare as Josh barked and celebrated. She wondered if he'd hurt Ricky. His spine looked separated. That move... Yes, Hazel?
Oh.
I'm live right now.
I'm sorry.
Can I help you?
Yes, Peter
One
wanted
moment.
to know if the Spanish version of Coco is on Launchbox.
I don't believe so. I don't know. I don't believe so.
Okay.
If you want it, let me know and I'll figure it out later.
Peter and me want.
Okay. Well, I love you.
But Peter thinks that's scary and he wants the words to be funny to make it so that.
Okay. All right. Cool. Bye. Anyway. Where was I? He tugged on Ricky's legs and spun him around, spine busting him into the mat. He got the win 3 seconds later, and that was that. Jessica couldn't help but stare as Josh barked and celebrated. She wondered if he had hurt Ricky. His spine looked separated. That move, whatever the name of it was majorly intimidating. While he needed some extra work, he didn't deserve the rookie rating. She then looked down at her phone and the notification light blinking. She reached and saw she had a text. Let's see. Joshua wrote, "I'm thinking maybe I can see you tonight, as long as we are cool. We can study tapes and just hang out. The hotel you're in has a pool. I guess what I'm trying to say is, can I still come over tonight? I'm not looking for anything weird. Just a friend, all right?" Jessica smiled at the belated text and his transparent honesty. She texted him back, "Sure, big dog. Come over whenever you're free." Okay. Popcorn and pizza would work better this time instead of shrimp and steak, Jessica thought to herself as she worked on making this friendly night great. She fussed over every minute detail to make it look like she didn't, and as a final touch, she mussed up her hair to leave no little hint of the feelings that slowly were developing inside, regardless of how she herself was convinced that her interest in Joshua the big dog was professional at present. Joshua arrived about 5 minutes early and was jovial as he came in. He handed her some Lucha DVDs, and she asked him how he'd been. "Pretty good," he smiled as he sat on her couch. "Won my match with Ricky. He's real quick, and he kicks pretty hard, but his patterns aren't that tricky." Won my match with Ricky. Yeah. That works. That move you hit at the end of the match looked like it killed that boy. You got a name for that airplane spine buster? I call it the canine killjoy. Jessica smiled but looked wary. Please say you'd never use that on me. You'd want me to hold back in a match between us? You can't be asking that seriously. Jessica frowned, thinking about how she'd let her emotions out. Want to put in a Lucha DVD? Like that one. What's the opening bout? Jessica and Josh watched and joked about luchadors, junk food, and more. Then, before they knew it, they looked at the clock. It was AM time 2:04. Wow, oh wow, it's super late. Yeah, I better get back to bed. You know, I have 2 beds here. You could take one of them instead. Jessica saw Josh freeze again, as if some horror jumped into his mind. You've been kind enough to me. Maybe some other time. She felt a pang of guilt this round, instead of just confusion. She searched for the best thing to say in this case, and she came to one conclusion. "Okay," was all she said to him, so he took his DVD and left. What is your deal, Joshua Slater? I've wondered since we met. Since we met. Jessica grabbed her phone and took a note. Find out more about him. Check with the guys he trained with. Find out what's within. All right, so that's the end of episode 1. And we went through it, made some changes. I think things are good for that, so that's good. Why don't we take a look at episode 6 currently? You know what? No. We're going to start working through these episode by episode. I will make a note of what I've completed, and we're just going to get to where we're writing each of these. And we'll do random series each time. What time is it? It is 1:05. I've got 55 minutes left in the stream, roughly. If anyone wants to... It's already started, Carrie. I started an hour ago. Let me just link this for the people in the brood. Let's see. Let's do that real quick. I need to remember to start doing that because people don't just look at feeds. Share, copy link. Okay, there we go. All right. So, All right. Now that I've got that out of the way. Okay. Let's go ahead and do another random one. See what we got. We got Lil Mac. Okay, so this is what I was planning on doing for when we get to a character. I'm actually going to do something here with AI that's going to help me write out a little just factual thing on Lil Mac. So what we're going to do is we're going to save select. Showing you all this feature. This is very helpful. We're going to do deselect all. We're going to collapse all. We're going to go fiction, world of wrestling. And I'm just going to start adding all of the, and we're not going to add all the appendix. We're just going to add season 1 because that's the only one that Lil Mac is in. So we're just going to add all of season 1, all of the poems, so that we have all our information. I don't think Lil Mac shows up again after episode 1. I could be wrong. Yeah, no, he doesn't show up again. So I'm just going to do a Rookie Rises. We're just going to take this one that we just edited. We're going to hit Save Select. And I'm just going to make this a TXT file for this purpose. It makes it the tiniest file I can. Very simple. We're going to save this as World of Wrestling episode 1.txt. And I'm going to take this and we're just going to get, we are going to get Gemini to write us out a very factual and extrapolated thing on Lil Mac. Write me a basic dossier, what do we want to call this? Slash character profile on the character Lil Mac from this story. And so this is going to allow us to essentially get something that we can edit very quickly. So we're going to do this. Now, I write my own stuff when it comes to the poetry and whatnot, but when it comes to just getting information on characters, why not extrapolate it from the actual text? I mean, for real. So what do we have here? Character dossier, Lil Mac. Basic information. We'll add a real name. Come up with a real name for him. Change a few things. We'll say season 1, episode 1 instead of just episode 1. We'll bring this back in and start working on it. So let's go back into, whoops. There we go. So let's copy paste this. So we're going to do basic information. Let's just take that out. That's redundant. We'll do name slash aliases. Mac. What is Mac short for? Is the name Mac short for anything? Just immediately off the top of my mind, I don't remember. Let's see. Short for Mackenzie or Malcolm. We'll say Malcolm. That makes sense. Okay, so Malcolm. You know what? What is Little Bow Wow's last name? Moss. Malcolm Moss. That works. We'll just go with that. Just off the top of my head, Malcolm Moss. I like that. So his real name is Malcolm Moss. So we'll say Malcolm Moss and Lil Mac. We'll put Lil Mac in quotes like that. Profession, professional wrestler in the WWL World Wrestling League. Title status, current WWL Tag Team Champion. I'm not going to say current. I'm just going to say titles won. WWL Tag Team Champion. We'll say he's a 3-time WWL Tag Team Champion. Before entering the wrestling business, Lil Mac made a name for himself as a famous rapper based out of Atlanta. Affiliations: tag team The Atlantics, tag team partner BJ Bass, Mac's former bodyguard, described as being, well, we're not Max, I'll just put Mac's former bodyguard. And then known allies: Carrie Starr, WWL Women's Champion. I'm not going to put that there. That can be in her profile. In-ring profile: wrestling style agile and speed based. He uses his quickness to avoid attacks and frustrate opponents. He's also a strategic tag team wrestler, utilizing quick tags and double team maneuvers to wear down isolated opponents. That's good. Signature move: the drive-by kick. We'll say it's his finish. That's fine. Weakness is susceptible to submission holds and lacks the grit to fight through intense pain. Taps out completely devoid of we'll just say get rid of that. That's just too much info. But that's true. Personality traits: Lil Mac is arrogant, antagonistic, and a classic bully. He relies heavily on intimidating physical presence of his bodyguard turned partner BJ Bass to throw his weight around the locker room, evidenced by him picking on the exhausted rookie Joshua Slater. He is highly disrespectful, taunting Jessica Valero about her recent injury and slapping her during their match. Despite his tough gangster persona, his bravado shatters when he is cornered and overpowered. That's correct. Roll in episode 1. Oops. Lil Mac serves as one of the primary antagonists in season 1. Episode 1. Lil Mac serves as one of the primary antagonists. He attempts to haze the newcomer Joshua Slater in the locker room before being chased off by the world champion, by, I'll say, Warren Nicholson. Later, acting on behalf of the corrupt management, he and BJ Bass team up with Carrie Starr to humiliate Jessica Valero in the ring. Ultimately, Mac suffers a humiliating defeat when Joshua Slater forces him to tap out, establishing the rookie as a legitimate threat. I like that. See? Simple thing. And I'm probably going to make a character image. I don't know if I want to do it now. I think I have one technically. Let me just add what I have. No reason to reinvent the wheel at this particular moment. We're going to paste the image though, so that I'm not taking up extra space. So I'm going to go to my website's back end and upload an image of him and copy that link. That'll be the best way to do it. So log in. Remind me later. Might as well do updates while I'm here. They're short. Plug-in updates. I have such a messy back end. I really need to clean it up. Updates. Update plugins. This will take just a second, folks. I really should do this more. Or just set them to automatic updates. But, you know how it goes. So... oh man, this has been good. This has been really good. Gotten a lot of work done. And this will be good to do weekly. Get a chance to share stories and work at the same time. I really like how this is working as a stream. So, okay, they are updated. Wonderful. And now we can go to media. Add media file. I highly recommend, if people want to do website related stuff, to do WordPress install, but then vibe code their actual website and link everything through that. It's been very beneficial to me. I've noticed a lot more people doing it. It's really the best of both worlds. You can make things exactly the way you want them on your front end, and you've got this nice organized back end that you can add stuff to. So let's see. Let's find my pictures of not BJ Bass, Lil Mac. Let me see here. Yeah, that's my last Lil Mac picture I did. We'll upload that. And copy the URL to clipboard. We'll come back in here and we will just insert image. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. And then Why is it not? Okay, image. There we go. And paste. Insert. There we go. Little Mac. Check him out. He's ready to roll. I'll probably just do basic realistic pictures on this, simply because on my character profile, simply because doing the stylized ones can be helpful in certain circumstances. But having these sort of as a base to then unify into something like a comic by stylizing everything is helpful. So, because a lot of things just want to do basic real life looking stuff, but this is our little Mac thing, and we'll go ahead and do another random one and see what we get. All right, we got Moby's Story Part 1. That's way deep into Notes of Destiny, which is my fantasy series. So we're going to start at the beginning of that one. I think we might actually start at world building. Oh, does anyone care? Does anyone have any thoughts on going to, I don't know if anyone's currently watching, Big Mac is what Jesse says, Big Mac. Does anyone have a thought on whether we should work on the world building aspect of my fantasy world and start with that, or if we should just start with the story and work again through the first episode? Any thoughts on that? While I'm figuring that out, what do you think of the stream so far? If anyone has any thoughts, I'd love to hear that. Obviously there's a lot of other things that we can be doing here, and we will do in the future. I'll probably add music. Eventually, I have a lot of things I want to add to what we're doing here, but this gives me a place to work on and share my stories all in one place. People can come, they can enjoy the VODs, you know, after the fact if they want, but I'm not going to make a podcast out of this or anything. This just shows what I'm doing, gives me a chance to work on it and create content at the same time. So without anyone saying anything, I don't think we have that much of a delay, but who knows? Might be time to work on our world building. So let's look at, I don't have a Notes of Destiny. Yeah. I guess I need to create a Notes of No. Yeah, I do. I need to create a World of Harmadonia appendix here. Let's do that. So we're going to create a new document. Yeah, new document after. We're going to call this World of Appendix for World of Harmadonia. Appendix for World of Harmadonia. One thing I don't think I mentioned is your first line of each document is the title. So that's one thing for how these things are titled. So now we're going to do a batch move or batch parent, batch set parent for, let's deselect all, collapse all. We're going to go fiction, World of Harmadonia, and then within Notes of Destiny, we're going to change beasts, characters, locations, magic, objects, organizations, plants, race, and scratch, and weapons. And we'll hit next. And then we're going to choose where they're going to go. We're going to go to collapse all, go fiction, World of Harmadonia. Yep. No, appendix for World of Harmadonia. There we go. Move. And there we are. We have all our stuff right here. So now that's in its proper place, separate from the Notes of Destiny series and the season 1. So, with that being said, we have 39 minutes, give or take. My voice is getting tired. Interesting. Yeah, no, that's about right. So, Let's go ahead and let's just look through what I have as far as information. I have some Scratch here, it says. Nope, Scratch doesn't have anything. Well, okay, here we go, notes. So I'm just going to read some of this, I think. Yeah, this gives kind of an overview. So we're just going to read through some of this and might change some stuff, might place some stuff in some other documents, but let's just start here because fantasy is all about world building. So let's go with that. Fort is captured by pirates and sold into slavery in Fairwood. Fort is also Fortunato is his name, Fortunato Calanar. But he goes by Fort or Prince Fort. Fort is captured by pirates and sold into slavery in Fairwood. It's not Wendy, it's Windy. Windy saves him and nurses him back to health, and the two work to try to escape Calanar. It's Calanar with an apostrophe. They end up escaping to the sacred forest, hoping to use the eastern dock to set sail from. In the sacred forest, Windy and Fort meet Rustpine. It's not Rust Pine, it's Rustpine. R-U-S-S. There we go. And first up, Rustpine. And his crew of people who take care of the day of Solnua. It's not spelled right. I must have done this as a text-to-speech or something. The day of Solnua every year, and that is when the fairies reemerge to a new birth. A new, one word, a new, and are, A-R-E, birthed, past tense, birthed again in the forest, and the forest is brought back to its proper mysteriousness, and so they keep pirates from destroying everything and then set sail from the eastern docks. More or less. Fort and Windy are captured by Tragic, who is a pirate, and encounter a young ship's boy/girl named Lolly. At first they think it's a boy. She's playing as a boy to try and fit in with the crew. She's a girl. Tragic has some weird magic. They approach the nest, the pirate's nest, which is a small island, kind of like Tortuga. As Lolly, Fort, and Windy make plans to escape. These are each a full episode, by the way, these little paragraphs, just going through them. Fort and Windy are separated. Fort and with Lolly and Windy are saved. It should be are, not is. By the mysterious Quill, a masked vigilante. Quill helps Windy save Fort and Lolly, and it turns out Lolly is the Quill's sister. Lolly and Quill focused backstory. Just says that. Well, I have their backstory, but we'll skip. I guess we're skipping that for this part. Just had an idea. Okay, now we've got a whole different thing. This is sort of a stream of consciousness thing that I was going through, I guess. Just had an idea for the dragons and how they live in an isolated land that is surrounded by desert. They used to live all over Harmadonia, but were constantly at war. They were banished by an ancient king of Calanar who had the power to heal scorched earth. The dragons since that time have rarely ventured out due to them being public enemy number one in lore and people's minds, but they've repented from their wicked ways and prefer to live alone now. Very few ever hear from them anymore. Calanar and Fairwood. Then we go from Calanar to Fairwood. Windy starts in Fairwood. Fort starts in Calanar. Then we go to the Sacred Forest. We go to the Pirate's Nest. We go to Calanar. We go through the Catacombs. Dwarven Mines. There's going to be more in between the Pirate's Nest and getting back to Calanar, but that's a whole other thing. Catacombs, Dwarven Mines, Thick Forest, Centaurs, Open Sea, Dragon Desert, Split Up, Fort to Calanar, Windy to the Winged Isle, Fort solo mission, Windy solo mission, coming together to fight in the evil place. What is the nature of the final battle in Notes of Destiny? What is the bad guy's plan? I really need to take all of these and figure out how to organize all of this into a proper thing. AI will help with that, but I'm not ready for that yet. I don't think, because I don't know what I want as an output. I need to figure out what I want to prompt for as an output to get organized here, but reading through this is going to help, I think. So what is the nature of the final battle in Notes of Destiny? What is the bad guy's plan? The pirates are an important part of it, but they cannot be the only one. Tragic's silent magic and the dwarves' mechanisms are definitely a clue. If it is to silence all music/magic, it must be because they cannot fully bend it to their will. But how would they accomplish such a feat? Does this practically work out to gun control tactic? Yes and no. What if they were collecting all the world's supply of the 3 resonators, which I mention here? Let me find that thing on the 3 resonators. Not magic, it's in magic. 3 resonators. 3 resonators are materials commonly found to make weapons and musical instruments due to their high tensile strength and resonance. They are Seward reeds, Kinnick foul strings, and the sounded metals. So basically, like, the 3 ways that you can do music magic in this world. We'll go back to Scratch and okay. What if they were collecting all the world's supply of the 3 resonators and employing dwarves to dig a giant underground tunnel to create a super instrument to control the entire world? I like that idea very much. So how are the return of the winged people important in stopping this? Why were the winged people put to sleep? What is the nature of the winged people's sleep? Everywhere in Harmadonia, we see archaeological legends of the winged people. The winged people are keepers of the song. They forgot the importance of beauty within Harmadonia's world and remembered it too late. In order to reverse the decline of music and magic in the world, they had to all retire to the ancient underground beneath the Winged Isle and join as a choir singing a beautiful but never-ending chorus to keep the world in balance. One of the ways they forgot beauty is that they became so enamored with alchemical music or magic that they lost sight of sexual love, and thus their numbers declined. Their chorus keeps them and Harmadonia alive. A small remnant awoke a year or 2 before our adventure begins, and they're camping out at Cashlon Spear, watching and waiting to make their move in the world. A small handful have been sent out as scouts among the surrounding countries with their wings bound. Their wings are so large they must wear robes to fully cover them. Their wings are expressive and can give them away if they're not careful to keep their emotions in check. What is the nature of alchemical and silent magic? Alchemical magic and silent magic. What are they akin to in our world? This trance song that they're singing is called the Song of Survival, and I'd love to use it again to lock either Writhe or Tear, which are the 2 main bad guys, in eternal survival mode to, in their mind, live forever. But Stress is actually an eternal torment, allows for the possibility of a sequel series much further down the line. Alchemical magic is based on noise and exact frequencies and harmonies and is tuneless, with no tempo. It is concerned with the changing of one thing into another, bridging the natural frequencies of 2 objects using exact mathematical harmonies. Silent magic is based on willpower and witchcraft, using the other 4 senses, especially sight, S-I-G-H-T, in ways that they were never intended to be used. It is extremely hard to control, and sometimes its effects are so unpredictable, it's often seen as unstable and unusable. We need a creation myth and need to tie musical, alchemical, and silent magic to one another. Things to explain in myth. The 3 magics, the intelligent races, the beasts, the plants, topography, the concept of the divine concert, and need to set up a clear race tree. The great songwriter created the world with chords. In those chords, he created Root, the man. The root needed more notes, so he created a fifth. His fifth would be his wife. Root and fifth would go on to parent all living people and became the basis for all other notes in the world's chord. As the great songwriter unfolded the world through chord modulations, Root gave the song lyrics to describe all that he saw. The songwriter encouraged Root to give shape to all the sounds and further define and reflect their magic. A great-grandson of Root named Tritone decided that he did not fit within the great songwriter's song. He was alone, and no matter the chord or key the song would modulate into, it appeared he would never fit. So instead of being patient and waiting for his part in the song, he sought to begin his own song and challenged songwriter to his face. He claimed roothood and called on others to follow him. Obviously, this is like Melkor, this is like Satan, but it's actually a human being, essentially, at this point. Or at least, like, proto-human? Anyway. War broke out and remained for 1,000 years until eventually the first song was extinguished, or so the followers of Tritone thought. A man named Bridge slew the final warrior and gloated over him. But in his final breath, the unknown final warrior breathed the 7-note song of the minstrel, a prophetic promise from the songwriter himself to Fifth in the final hours of her life, as she was tortured by Tritone's followers for information. The song was so beautiful that Bridge instantly regretted what he had done, and something hard and crumbly fell from his ears, and he was overcome with pain. But soon the pain subsided, and he found he was alone on the battlefield, left for dead. Over the next year, he walked and walked back to his home, where his wife and his 3 sons and their wives remained. They rejoiced to see him, and he taught them all he had learned. 5 years after that, the songwriter told Bridge in a dream to dig deep into the earth and hide away. As soon he would destroy the whole world with fire from the sky, and that the world that he would scorch the entire world. So instead, we're doing Noah, but instead of water, it's fire. All was done as the songwriter said. After many days, geysers from beneath the earth were loosed to bring Bridge and his families to the surface and to rewater and reseed the surface. Halvard landed upon the fields and took to farming. This is one of the sons of Bridge. Halvard landed upon the fields and took to farming and building using the best of the skills songwriter gave them. Ragnar landed amongst the woods and mountains and began to copy aspects of the songs of beasts and help them evolve in many different ways. And Eter landed high in the sky on a cloud, changing his posterity with the elements themselves, seeking inner light and peace, changing, it should be merging. Anyway, light and peace above physical comfort. And then I had the weapon idea for flame pipe. So in this world, so funny I get that right after this stream of consciousness thing right after that huge myth. But basically the idea is flames. So basically music is magic and magic is music. So in this world there are weapons that are created to use both a weapon, like physical weapon, and they're a musical instrument in order to, maximize the attack of both magic and physicality. So one of the things I thought of was flamethrower bagpipes. Thought it'd be pretty cool. Anyway, there's a dragon breath plant. There's a dragon's breath. Okay, dragon's breath is a plant whose leaves, when you breathe through the leaves, create a stinky gas that can be lit on fire. People can use this with singing, but risk getting burnt on the face. Flame pipes are bagpipes that play through the leaf into a flame that stays lit via a lamp. Silent magic is refusal to exist in a world of singing. So in essence, alchemical magic is trying to replace... Alchemical magic is trying to replace God, paganism, and silent magic is atheism. I need to think up an adventure back in the southeastern section of Fairwood, Newtown. I think I went southwestern. new mission, and then deal with the Steinskred Way a bit and the mermaids slash dwarves before getting into Kalanar. I mentioned that earlier. Ideas for names of the town: Elderbark. I think the town should be modeled after Saint Augustine. We went with Alderloot. Alderloot is what I eventually went with. So we begin Windy's story on the outskirts of Fairwood City. Rough geographical outline from Puerto Loristica to Fairwood City. That starts with Fort. To Fairwood City, to the Sacred Forest, to the Strait of Desolation, to the Pirate's Nest, to Alderloot, to Puerto Loristica, to the Borvin Gates, to the Borvin Ruins, to the Mermaid Outpost, to Elagolus Outpost, to Elagolus Capital, to Great Library of Littery, to Drogpestra, to somewhere, to Cashlon Spear, split from one goes to Kalanar and one goes to Cashlon Spear. Fort goes to Gwal, Windy to Elagolus, Windy to Drogpestra, Windy to Gwal. Final battle in Gwal. And then we return to the Winged Isle for the wedding. Spoilers. Once our Alderloot Steinskred Way adventure is complete, I can roll for another world. I need to figure out the origin of the pirates, their government structure under Deaththroat, if he's real, and what caused their rise. Also, what is the exact time they have with Writhe and Terror. Around 50 years prior to the start of our tale, there were many pirate clans of mostly humans, but they were all united by Deaththroat. Deaththroat is a nickname for terror in disguise. He united all the pirate clans through alchemical creation of gold and pays them accordingly. Through this, they took Sabria, now the Pirate's Nest. Deaththroat and the uniting of the pirates has been somewhat of a mystery. Fairwood is ruled by a feudal oligarchical family. Rank within their royal family determines voting power. There is a king figure with 49% of the vote, referred to as the Forest Father. The extended family and friends of the royal family run and govern each city, township, and village. A ruler of a city is a governor/governess. A ruler of a township is called a count/countess. A ruler of a village is called a baron/baroness. The Count of Alderloot, his name is Enoch von Alban. He has his suspicions about who Deaththroat is, and is on personal good terms with Tragic and all the major pirate lords. It's generally known that he is corrupt, but keeps the pirates from becoming more of a problem in Fairwood too. He is a fat but jovial man who loves fine things and is surprisingly smart, charismatic, and quick-witted. Alderloot is to Fairwood what St. Augustine is to Florida. It is an ancestral home and has become a tourist trap for those seeking to see the Borvin ruins and cross from the South Sea, the Piratic Sea, to the Sea of Alado and beyond. It is kitschy and touristy, and its chief attraction is an amphitheater carved out of the third largest mora tree in Fairwood, and one of the last living examples of the clematis subspecies, which only now grows in the sacred forest and on the western shores. Legend has it that the great bard and founder of Fairwood, Wistolen of the House Wisteria, made the great amphitheater with one cord from the lost lute of Bridge, the father of all. Hearing a concert played there is said to change a person for the rest of their lives and set them on their destiny. If more character dev is needed here, do it piecemeal and begin the tale of Alderloot / the Steinskred Way. Fort and Windy approach the Steinskred Way, and it is flowing the opposite direction as normal. Steinskred Way is like a very large, continuous, circular, what's the word? Maelstrom? Yeah. In the ocean. Flowing the opposite direction as normal. Fort is surprised. Fort is surprised, but they're pulled into the current. When they're in the middle of the current, it changes and they're pushed back out so fast they nearly tip. When they get back out to sea, Wendy sees an angry mermaid point them to Fairwood and then dive below the surface. Fort misses it and doesn't want to go, but they see no other choice, so they pull into the port in Alderlute. Fort is hurrying them across Alderlute when he hears Count von Albin is approaching. They're near the amphitheater, and someone mistakes Fort for a performer and drags him backstage. Wendy is tired of being separated from Fort and can't think because she's hungry. She smells the amazing vendors and notices one of her elder sisters who's traveled from Fairwood to sell their bread. Wendy knows how good it is and takes some to give the Count. His taster says it is the best bread he's ever had, and the Count bids Wendy to sit with him. Wendy is forced on stage and has to play a ballad called A Tragedy in Kalanner. He has to keep undercover and begins to tell his own tale without names. The Count is touched but realizes who is on stage and calls for him to be held on stage. Wendy sneaks away and calls for her sister's help. The Count slowly makes his way up to the stage and commends Fort before announcing who he is and revealing that Tragic is on his way to find him. Wendy and her sisters ready an attack. Wendy and her sister say a prayer and are about to attack, but the sister stops Wendy. The crowd has begun to boo. They begin to throw food at the Count. Fort's crowd surfs. A ferry sent by the Fairy Queen meets them at the northern docks of Alderlute and has a boat for them. Wendy's sister says it hasn't been the same without her, and it won't be the same until she comes back. They hug and shove off into the Sea of Velato, headed for Puerto Loristica. They need to rewrite, and I say I need to rewrite NOD 50 to reflect the new Stein-Skredway arc. Actually, we need to rewrite the previous episode from the Quill to the beginning of the Alderlute episode, and I need to reconcile NOD 21 through NOD 45. The Quill starting with NOD 21. Okay. Yeah, this is so much. Yeah, this is going to be one of those things where I'm just going to have to like feed it into an LLM and get suggestions on what to do as far as like where to start reconciling things, because I wrote too far and now I need to bring it back and reconcile things, which is really helpful. Instead of going back and starting the entire draft from scratch, which it may end up suggesting to do anyway, but we'll see. Well, we're getting close to our end and my voice is going rough. I think I'm going to need to pause there. And next time we come back, I'm going to make a note to pick up working on Notes of Destiny's reconciliation and world building to try and put everything together and make it make sense. Because I think I can do that. I think I can use Epic Page Master and Gemini to make this work. First of all, let me go ahead and save. We're going to do a quick save all to back up the Lyricanium on my side. And then I am going to do something new for anyone who wants to go read stuff themselves. This is big. This is the first time I'm literally doing it now. So we're going to do a save select. We're going to select all. And we are going to save this as an HTML front end. This is going to be the Ling Lyricanium. You add in your title. This will replace the wording of Epic Page Master at the top. We're going to hit generate. And we're going to save this to the Lyricanium backup. I'm going to do LL. What's today? 4/23. So 4. I'm going to do 26/4/23.html. It will save. And then I am going to take that and I am going to upload it to my website so that you guys can read it. So we're going to put that here. It's going to load. And then I will do a specific link so that you guys can check it out. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go ahead and make a custom link. We're going to do tools, redirection. Great plugin, by the way, redirection for WordPress. So we're going to do add new, and we're going to do source URL is this. And the target URL is https://joshuadavidling.com/LL Yeah, that should do. So LLREAD. joshuadavidling.com/LLREAD for Ling Lyricanium Read. Add direct, and you guys can go check that out right now. I appreciate you being here for this first stream. Hopefully the next ones are just as much fun and just get better as we go. Some of you will like it. Some of you, might not be your thing, but it allows me to regularly stream and create interest around what I'm doing. It also keeps me focused for 2 hours on actually working on it. I hope you enjoyed, and I guess I can do a typical Poets at War style send-off, even though it's not Poets at War. So everybody be your family's bard. Do not turn to the right or to the left, and the Lord will be with you wherever you go. We'll see you next time on the stream for the Ling Lyricanium Live Tours.